many of you grew up with cartoons on Saturday morning? And how many of you have seen that cartoon where there's a little devil on one shoulder, a little angel on the other? Like, this is where you're going to learn right and wrong from, is the cartoons. And once again, I would say that in general, the collective consciousness would say that yes, we all are intuitive enough to know the difference between right and wrong. And I would suggest that there's even more specific intuitions coming through, and you may have decided that only certain people are gifted to experience those very clear, specific intuitions. So even Jesus had moments written about in the New Testament where he saw one of his upcoming disciples before they ever met sitting under a fig tree, and he told him about it when they met, and he was right. He also knew when he met a Samaritan woman at the well that she had been married 5 times, and that the guy she was living with right now was not a husband. She was so surprised at him knowing this information about her that she just dropped everything, ran into town, and started screaming to everyone, "I just met a man who knows everything about me." We think those people are special. We think Jesus was special. We all have that intuitive ability. And that excites me. It took me a long time to get to that point in my life where I even believed that. So I'm excited about this topic because I want to hone mine. And we don't need to have a stroke to be able to rise above the left brain of our life. But you do have to understand who you are. And who you are is a spiritual being with spiritual qualities. You know that we talk here regularly about our spiritual powers, one of which we refer to as wisdom. Wisdom is also the same as intuition. And the way that our co-founder, Charles Fillmore, describes it up here on the screen is, this spirit of wisdom is right now a part of consciousness of everyone. It's in you and about you, and you will come into conscious relations with it when you believe on it and its powers. If you ignore it and thereby deny that it exists in you and for you, you remain in the darkness of ignorance. He said it's exactly as if a person lived in the basement of a large house and refused to go upstairs, declaring that because the upper rooms did not come down to them, they were not there. So think about that for a minute. You have information at your beck and call at any given moment, but you refuse to even allow that idea. As long as we refuse, we have no access to it. So first things first today, start opening up your mind to the possibility. You do believe in a supreme being. You might call it source or God or creator or divine mind. That is the source of your intuition. So we're talking about that mind that we all have access to that you might call the Christ mind or the Christ consciousness or even the super mind, super consciousness, whatever name you want to give it. It's the one mind that holds everything inside it. And that's where that information comes from. One of my favorite teachers in seminary was Ralph Waldo Emerson, who was a big influence on the film wars and New Thought movement. He said, as there is no screen or ceiling between our heads and the infinite heavens, so there is no bar or wall in the soul, where man, the effect, ceases, and God, the cause, begins. The walls are taken away. We lie open on one side to the deeps of spiritual nature, to the attributes of God. What a wonderful vision to have and to know why it's possible for us to have that connection. I know it's hard to believe. I want to show you a little video clip here, and I want to prepare you for this. It's only 30 seconds or less, and it's a little bit scary, but no blood will be shed. But I'm showing it to you because I want you to see an example of how a lot of human beings respond to conflict or upset in their life. Instead of getting still and going into that higher self, these are the kind of judgments that we make. Let's take a look.
Let's hide in the attic.
No, in the basement. Why can't we just get in the running car?
Are you crazy? Let's hide behind the chainsaws.
Smart. Yeah, okay.
If you're in a horror movie, you make poor decisions. It's what you do.
Shh, I'm being quiet. Breathing.
It's just pretend. It's only pretend. But my point is, why don't we listen to what our heart tells us to do instead of doing the dumb things that the ego or that part of ourself that lives in fear is always trying to guide us to do? I don't know about any of you, and I'm not even going to say women because it could be anyone that reads a romance novel. I grew up in a household where I was still living at home, hadn't left home yet, but my mom was big on reading romance novels. And she would never let me read them until I got married and moved away. And then suddenly it's like, here, you want a bag of romance novels? And I started reading them and I found out why. So, but my point is, in every single one of those novels, there was a couple that was trying to get together. And at some point in the middle of the story, something would happen that would be a misunderstanding. Right? There's always some misunderstanding that blows up the relationship until the very last page. Right? Yeah, again, it's like, why are we listening to these silly ideas when we have an internal guidance system that is constantly trying to point us in the right way? So one of the things that we don't want to listen to is, or pay attention to appearance, as Jesus would say, because our senses are not always right. The collective consciousness, that is the majority of people's thoughts all combined together, is not always right. You know, when you're trying to figure out how to vote in an election, probably don't want to listen to the collective consciousness. Don't want to listen to your ego, that part of yourself that's always deciding based on fear. Don't want to listen to the subconscious. That's your 95% of your history that keeps repeating itself. It's usually not how's it going so far? Is that working for you? Okay, so just keep in mind there's some other options. One of the ones I want to remind you up here on the screen is to train your subconscious to only take instruction from your higher self. Because it does guide 95% of what we do, we've got to teach that thing who to listen to. Subconscious mind, say it with me, only take instruction from my higher self. Is that what it says? Yes. Yeah, it's not that hard, right? We just have to remember to do it over and over again, renew the mind, repeat it, maintain this enlightened objectivity that we're trying to stay in, but it's mostly going to come from here. Here's an affirmation that will help us do that. Let's say this together. The wisdom of divine mind is expressed in all that I think, say, and do. So that's an option that we can choose. Know that, okay, most people will say intuition is a piece of cake for some people who have that gift, but I'm not one of them. And I'm telling you, you're wrong. I'm telling you, every single one of you, doesn't matter right brain, left brain, you're spirit. And you have access to this information. And so I want us to get familiar with what intuition looks like, first of all, today. And probably the most common in my life is words just come to mind. Sometimes it sounds like my own voice, but it's words that come to mind when there's a moment that I'm not sure what to do, what to think, what to say. Or there's an uneasiness, a feeling, an emotion that says, stop, whatever you're doing, stop. Have you had that experience? Yeah. So it's not this difficult. Sometimes the feeling is, yes, go, go, go. I was at that stage in my life trying to commit or not to seminary. And though I felt like I had heard a voice in grade school to begin somehow, I didn't even know what it was really meaning, to become a minister, I'm at this place now where I decided to go to Unity Village to just check it out. And I went into some classrooms, took some classes, and at one point I came out, probably midweek, out into the courtyard at Unity Village where fountains were just flowing everywhere. And I'm not kidding you guys, I literally felt like a fountain was just gushing up out of me. This is your home. This is where you belong. Do not miss this opportunity. I could not come back. Just another version of what your intuition is trying to tell you. How many times have you heard your phone ring, and this is before, I'm talking about before caller ID, when you knew who it was? Yes? Usually it's somebody close to you. You just sense that energy coming at you. How many times, I did this with my brother. I mean, we don't live near each other. We don't see each other that often. So I was kind of surprised. Sitting in one of my family's homes, coming for a visit, and here's my brother sitting across from me, and we're just kind of hanging out. And suddenly I heard him say these words, but he hadn't said them yet. And then he said them. Now, it wasn't anything earth-shattering. It was just a sentence, something that he wanted to talk about, and I knew he was going to talk about it. It can come out in a lot of different ways. You finish someone's sentence, you've got a thought that keeps banging on your head, saying, I want you to pay attention to this one that just won't go away. You get a flash in your mind's eye, like a picture that's being imprinted in your imagination about something that you want to know about. This one is hard to explain. It's like, I'll just start by saying it's a full-blown knowing. So, and I don't even know some of the times why I'm getting it, but just every once in a while, it's like you don't have to go through a process in your mind's eye about how to make this happen. It's just done. You already know. It's like you went through the process, but you never went through it. And you've got all the information. The hard part is writing it down fast enough that you don't mentally forget it. But that's available to us. It's also very common to ask a question and get an answer. And this will come in a few different ways. But let's see. I was in seminary. I was in my practicum for hospital chaplaincy. And this was in downtown Kansas City. I'd never done this before. It was my first time. And I was going to be the only chaplain on call from Friday at 5 p.m. to Monday at 7 a.m. And they didn't have a room for you to sleep in, so you had to keep driving back and forth. And the first time that my pager went off, I just got that, and then as I'm driving in, I realized, oh my God, it's Halloween. I can't even begin to imagine what the ER is like on Halloween. Why me? I didn't have a lot of instruction here. I just decided on my drive in, okay, I'm just going to go and love. Whenever my pager goes off, I'm just going to say, call for love. Let me go love. And if there's anything else needed, Spirit, it's going to be up to you to make sure that I know what to do. Hopefully they won't ask me to do surgery, so I think I'm going to be okay. So I'm here, and it turns out that there's a young man who's dying for a lot of different reasons, and he'd been estranged from his family, and they'd found his dad, and so now here I was. He was unconscious, probably wasn't going to live much longer, and his dad, and I'm trying to find the best place for me to be in their presence and support them. And it was a few hours without any change, and the dad looked at me and said, you know what, why don't you just go home, and when I need you, I'll call you. Nobody else needed me, so I got in my car, I drove home, and as I'm getting in bed that night, the question came to mind, I wonder what time I'm going to get paged. And a visual of 4:30 just kind of came into my imagination. Went to bed, and at 4:30, the pager went off. So I got in my car, drove to Kansas City, was with the father. The son had passed, and I was trying to help him through some of the next stages. And when that was all complete, no one else needed me, got in my car to drive home again. And I just wanted to be in stillness. So no songs, nothing playing, no podcasts back in those days. So I'm just driving in silence. And the question comes, I wonder how many times I'll have to go back this weekend. The answer came, that was the last time. And it was the last time. So I'm telling you, your higher self wants you to know these things. It was door open for that to happen, and trust, expect it. And I want to look at some ways this morning about how to expand our ability to. The first thing I had to get over and start saying was, I am intuitive. Because I told anybody that would listen for decades, I'm not intuitive. I'm not one of those people. I wish I was. That looks really cool, but I don't get those kind of things. Well, you got to stop saying that. There's no reason why you can't be that person. But the more that you say no to it, the more we shut the door on it. So let's just start with that premise. Let's all say it together. I am intuitive. I am intuitive. Now, you have to say it a few more times so you actually believe it. But You might say some other things about who you are as a spiritual being to help support that. You know, just the fact that you're eternal, that there's no barriers between you and God. Those are spiritual affirmations that you might want to remind yourself. There's no reason why I'm not intuitive. I'm open and receptive to the divine mind, and everything Spirit wants me to know, I'm ready to receive. Just talk it, talk it, talk it. Make it a habit to open your heart. When you leave the house, just imagine you're opening your heart to what Spirit has to show you today. I'm ready, willing, and able. And expect a response. I mean, that's part of our problem is if we're not used to doing this, we forget all about it, and then we don't get any hits. So expect a response, especially if you've been asking a question, expect an answer to come back. Jesus promised us that. Ask and it'll be given. So keep your eyes open, keep your ears open, notice what's happening around you, putting your dots together. Spirit's going to show you what's happening here. And then when you get hits, I suggest you write them down. Keep track of them. Yeah, just go back every once in a while and look at, wow, that, and I got that, and I got that. Oh, that turned out to be, and that turned out. It's really fun. Write it down. Just keep track of what you're doing, because the more that you notice this, the more often you will attract it. The less that you notice, it appears to, the universe, you're sending a signal, I don't care what you got to tell me. Then you're, again, putting up that door. So what if you regularly listened, looked for, noticed, wrote it down, stay in touch with that, and maybe even at night when you go to bed, go back through your day and ask, where was my main attention getter when it comes to energy today? You know what I mean by that? One of those moments like, oh, that was interesting. Start noticing those and write them down. Notice how often you're starting to be knocked on by the Spirit. And I discovered that my words can actually be not my words. Trust me, I know what it's like to say words that you wish you hadn't said, but there's also an opportunity to say words that you didn't say, but that Spirit said for you. So just recently, my fairly new house with a fairly new furnace, the furnace started leaking water all over the floor. And it was just out of warranty. And I called the name on the furnace who installed it, to have them come and look at the space. And, oh, this is bad. This is an expensive part. And this is way in the back, and you're going to have to take this out, and this out, and this out, this out. And I'm going to have to go ask my manager what it's going to cost. And before he left, here came the words that I had no idea were coming. I'm going to call the builder. And he's like, uh-huh. And he went on and left. And I thought, are you crazy? You're out of warranty. Move on. And so they gave me a price, and I went, whoa, that's pretty big. And I thought of someone that I'd worked with in my past house, so I called them, and I got a better quote, but it was still kind of big. And all the while, I was seeing that moment in my house where I was going, I'm going to call the builder. I thought, maybe I should call the builder. Long story short, I called the builder, and they didn't care whether it was out of warranty. They were going to take care of it for me. So I got the whole thing taken care of without paying anything. And the guy wasn't half bad to look at either. No, just kidding. Probably could have been my son. All right, so moving on. I want you to just start opening your mouth and saying things that says, yes, I'm intuitive. Things like, I'm open and receptive to divine knowing, and I'm grateful for the wisdom within. Start to warm up your heart. Love is guiding my thoughts to the right solution here. Love is always a good one because it's always a higher frequency. One of Charles Fillmore's statements that he made regularly up here on the screen. Nope, I didn't put it on the screen. You'll just have to listen to me. Jesus Christ is here now, raising me to his consciousness of knowing. Jesus Christ is here right now, raising me to his consciousness of knowing. And that's just one of many, I'm sure, spiritual loved ones that want us to know what we need to know. So keep creating space and shifting your frequency by spending more time in the silence. We talk about that regularly. Teaching the brain chatter to slow down and get still. And it might even mean driving in the car with no radio and no music and no podcasts. And I actually read something from, this is a fun book if you want to learn about your vibes, Trust Your Vibes, Sonia Choquette. And she tells this story about a client of hers that said, a client of mine who's a sales rep for a pharmaceutical company had to drive 40 miles to work twice a week. And she liked to commute with the radio turned off so that she could have a little peace, as she put it. During these drives, she often got intuitive flashes that popped into her brain like telegrams. Once she even got a flash that compelled her to request a transfer to San Francisco. Kim had wanted to make this move for years, but she was continually told it wasn't possible because that office had no openings. Even though her message flew in the face of what she'd been told at work, she listened anyway. Okay, I will, she said to her higher self. Kim put in her transfer that afternoon, and later that day, the San Francisco office unexpectedly opened up transfers for the first time. The company only transferred 2 people, and hers was the first request. As Kim later told me, had it not been for my quiet drive, I'm positive that I would have missed my opportunity. It was the quiet that allowed me to hear my higher self loud enough to follow it. Make space for that to happen. Be ready and listening. What gets in the way of our intuition? Just moving into a lower frequency. I know that that may sound weird to some of you that are coming here to a spiritual path for the first time, but spirit is frequency. Spirit is energy. It's just a higher, more delightful frequency than our lower ego self. So we want to check in and ask ourselves, what's going on right now in me energetically? For those of us who spend a lot of time in tension or worry, if you seem to be hanging out with a lot of people that live in negative emotion, if there's constantly chaos going around you, you literally feel some kind of stuck energy or heavy energy. It's going to be very hard for your higher self to be able to speak your language, for you to be able to hear that language. Let's put it that way. So we're going to keep checking in with ourselves and say, what do I need to do here to shift where I'm at? When we're that person that needs to be in control of everything, I'm going to highly recommend that you just open up with, you know what, I think I'm just going to go with the flow on this one. Kitty, see how that goes for me. Just go with the flow, not try and put everything in their proper boxes. That's all left brain thinking, right? So even invite your higher self to take charge here. I'm listening, I'm waiting, I'm ready for whatever it is that you want to tell me. I let go and I let love. Love is the force of the divine, and it is the intelligence of the universe. Let it work for you. Raise your vibration. Align with your spirit. And one of the ways that we do that is by being in joy. What makes you happy? Do that more often. I have my own list that brings me joy. If I need a reminder, at the top of the list is eat fruit salad. I like all the colors in a fruit salad. I love its taste. I love the way that it looks. I love that it's healthy for you. So I eat fruit salad when I want to lift my energy. Wear bright colors. Am I bright enough for you today? I love bright colors. I also love, as I'm reading so many books that are inspiring me, every time I come across a really good piece of inspiration, I write it down in a journal so that later on I can pick that journal up and all I've got are just dozens and dozens and dozens of inspirations that make my heart sing. So you might want to try that. You might want to just look into your life and ask what you're grateful for. You might actually, okay, this is for me. I like to get out my coloring book and crayons and just sit down and color. Take your mind off of things and enjoy what you're doing for a minute. Get out the photo albums of the people that you love. Think about them until you can feel that love for them. Don't forget to love yourself. This all goes to pot if we're not able to include love for ourselves as we're trying to communicate with our higher self. Notice what your body is asking for, because it takes up some space in your life. Pretty much goes wherever you go. And so you want to keep it happy, because if it's not happy, the energetic weight of that can really interfere with hearing what your higher self is trying to say. So I highly recommend going outside as the sun is coming out and the temps are warming up. This is a great chance to use all of your senses and let them just thrive out there. Go out there and look deeply at the bark of a tree and give it a big hug. Listen to the birds singing. Smell the fresh air. Pet your dog or your cat. Anything that actually makes your senses come alive. And that's easily doable. It lightens the frequency of your body, which makes way for your higher self to come through. And also, one other thing I would just invite you to do is communicate to people that you love and trust when you are starting to get hits. Oh, you're not going to believe what happened to me this week. I want you to do that out here in the front room today. Just share with them the last time that you had something that felt intuitive to you. And I'll share with you, in my case, many of you know that my friend of 50 years, Gordon Herzog, was our accountant, volunteering to be our accountant for the entire 18 years that we've been doing this together so far, and passed away recently as a surprise. So in the 6 weeks that he was in the hospital leading up to this, he was less and less able to speak, and not really sure if he was understanding what was being said to him. And so at one point, it'd been probably almost 6 weeks, when I just it was one of those moments I had to do something. And it just kept nudging at me for many days, and it was time to do something. And the something was to pick up the phone and call his husband and say, "Put me on the speakerphone, please," right up next to his ear. I don't need to see him. I don't need to talk to him. I don't need him to talk back to me. I just need him to hear my voice. And he said, "Okay, sure." And this was on a Sunday. I know, I'm sure you guys had something to do with this. My energy was so high. It was like when I got home, I had to do that. I had to make that phone call so that I could feel connected again. And when he said he was ready, I just started talking to Gordon and telling him how much we loved him. We were praying for him. We missed him. We were just trusting that everything was working together for his highest good. Well, in between those sentences, he started talking. He started talking coherently. He started telling me that he loved me and that he missed us and that he was so glad to hear from me, and just all these very kind statements that were very well put together. And every time he opened his mouth, my heart just went bing, bing, bing. And that wasn't the hit yet. Well, the hit was make the phone call. But after we were done talking and I hung up the phone, I knew. My second hit was I knew that was his goodbye. That before he left, he was going to say goodbye in a special way. And the next night, he was gone. So, not my favorite moment of intuition, but so grateful I was listening, so grateful I insisted on picking up the phone and having that conversation, and have it be a conversation. So Spirit has got all kinds of gifts for us if we will be open and receptive to what it is. Sarah Landon is getting to become a well-known intuitive. Yeah, Spirit already knows us to be everything we wish to be. We already are. So that's the truth about you as a spirit. You already are everything you wish to be, and that you that is what you wish to be is trying to communicate to the lower you, trying to communicate, tell you what to do. That's your intuition, always confirming who you are as a spiritual being. And Sarah says the only thing that holds you back from intuition is not fully allowing your own love to be realized by you. So that's the first thing we want to get into, is just being very sweet and precious to ourselves. And I'm not kidding. Pour on the gush. Tell yourself how wonderful you are, how awesome you are, until you actually can start to feel that. And here's the last gift that I think comes with intuition, is that it allows us to see clearly into other people's behavior when normally you would either resist, fight back, or run away. Your intuition will give you a clue that there's something more going on here than you, and it really has nothing to do with you. When you're intuitive, you can hear that there's something in them that is a pain, that is a confusion, that's something that's probably been going on for a while, and that the only way they're able to handle it right now is to lash out at you. But when you are intuitive and you know that, you don't take it personally. You don't get defensive. You can actually feel into them what's going on. You don't need all the details, but at least it allows you to sense those past hurts and know that this is not the time to judge them. This is just the time to listen and to be sensitive. And here's the other beautiful thing about your intuition. It will tell you how to respond. It will give you the information you need that will best serve this other person. So start in conversation with people, always knowing love is here. Love is here. They're not my source. They're not a power over me. I actually could be a source of love for them today. Higher self, what's the best response to this person? And if you can start from the energy of love first, then you're going to get some information about how to respond. If you do it from defensiveness or irritation or anger or fear, you're not going to get what you need. But my goodness, to know that you and I have an entire universe behind us trying to show us which way to go. All we have to do is say yes and listen, and you will get better and better at it. This takes practice. So I've given you lots of tools to use to practice. And just start with the premise, I am intuitive, and I expect something to show up for me today. And just be watching. Here's some statements up here on the screen we could say. I remember the infinite wisdom that lies within me. Next one. I realize I'm a powerful extension of source energy. And last, I'm opening and expanding my intuition and fully allowing its love and wisdom. So how about if we try taking some time in meditation and just know that that being that is you will be always waiting and ready for you, especially if you make time for it in the quiet, so that we are going to go into this just ready to ask a simple question. I'll guide you through it, and just listen to what you receive. Now, my experience is that sometimes I don't get an immediate answer, but it will pop in later in the day. So don't get too wound up in it. I just want to walk you through the process, okay? So let's close our eyes. Take a deep breath. Let's take 3 breaths at your own pace. With every breath, feel your shoulders dropping. You may be sensing life from the vantage point of your head right now. But as you breathe, I'm going to invite that vantage point to drop from your head down towards your heart. So just imagine that there's this beautiful winding staircase that starts up between your eyes. And allow it to guide you easily and safely, winding down, stepping down towards your heart, step by step, getting closer, stepping down, until you get to where you feel your heart is showing up first as a doorway that will lead you into your heart. Reach down for that door handle. Open that door, just gently walk into this beautiful heart space. Beautiful warm lighting. Everything about it says comfort to you. There's a tangible feeling of peace here. As you come to the midst of this heart space, just feel fully present, noticing how you're feeling. Feel how good it is to be in your heart space. A feeling of gratitude is rising up in your heart. So thankful to have this quiet, safe place to explore in your heart. This is home, not a physical place in the body, but the center of your being, centered in God. This is where you're truly relaxed and calm. The mind chatter has settled down. Just feeling this calm, serene energy moving through your heart. Eyes closed now. Imagine that you are resting at the heart of you, your highest self, holding you safely. Now's your chance. What does my higher self most want me to know? Just open your heart with that question. What does my higher self most want me to know right now? Your heart is open. Just gently listening and noticing. Is there anything my higher self wants me to know right now? I'm listening. I allow whatever message wants to be shared, trusting it is only for my highest good. I'll remember what I need to know. If I need to ask again, I can do that. I'm grateful to receive any guidance that my spirit wants me to know. I'm ready to listen now, and I'll be ready to listen later. Before we close this off, I'll just ask you to finish this thought. I'm so happy and grateful that. Complete the sentence. I'm so happy and grateful that. Allow your heart to finish that for you. For now, I'm going to allow my attention to begin to wind back up my staircase, focused in this present moment in this room, still fully surrounded in love. My higher self goes with me wherever I go. And I am always open and receptive to the highest and best information that the Divine Mind wants me to know. I'm grateful. I'm peaceful. I'm filled with divine joy, and continue to allow throughout my day for my higher self to walk with me, to share with me, to guide me in every step, always for my highest good. This is the truth of my world, my being, and now I let it be. Amen.